you can do some script-based programming as well as your graphical interface programming with the help of a Simulink. So the same type of aspect we can do in our LabVIEW also. So why LabVIEW got familiarized is we can directly acquire data from a different input and output devices, and then we can do the processing. Then again we can deliver the output to that equipment for controlling purpose. So that is the main advantage of our LabVIEW. So that same thing can be done in MATLAB also, but it is a little bit going to be difficult. Okay, whereas in our LabVIEW they have all the drivers available for different equipments, and most of the devices nowadays, whichever they are manufacturing, it comes with the LabVIEW driver itself. So we can just plug in, we can get the data, we can process the data, analyze the data, then we can again control the instrument via a PC interface. So that is the major advantage of using a LabVIEW environment. In terms of a code. Whereas in a LabVIEW, what we are going to do is we are going to create blocks. We are going to build a block diagram, and then when we try to execute the block diagram, it is going to work depending upon our logic, whichever we have written. So that is what we are going to do. So it's a graphical programming language or a data flow programming language. And it is used mainly for collecting the data from a laboratory instrument using data acquisition systems, and also we can use to create a prototype of an instrument. So we can just do some analysis and try to find what is the best component available and how to build a particular instrument. So LabVIEW can be used to perform the following functions: acquire data from instruments, process the data, like we can do some filtering process, we can apply different transforms, and we can analyze the data and control the instruments and equipments. So LabVIEW programs are generally called as VA. Okay, it's called as VA. So we used to say in terms of VAs. Okay, so program is nothing but it is going to be a VA, which stands for virtual instrument. So if I see a LabVIEW window, it is going to have two parts. One is going to be a front panel and another one is going to be a block diagram window. So front panel is the one which will be visualized by a user. Okay, so they will be seeing only the outermost part. For example, if I am going to have a function generator, so I will see just the knobs and how it is going to look like from outside. I will not be able to know what is built inside. Okay, so the same thing happens in case of a front panel. So it's a user appearance. Okay, how it is going to appear to a user. So that is a front panel window. Whereas a block diagram window, where we are going to write our functionalities. So how the program is going to run, everything, how it is going to be connected, and all the details will be there in my block diagram window. So front panel is just gives an appearance. Okay, based upon the appearance, a customer will select. So okay, I will try to buy the project. Okay, for example, if I am going to go for a washing machine purchase, so I will try to see what are the models available. Whichever is looking very attractive, I will try to purchase the product. Okay, so I will not be knowing much about what is built inside the product. So that is up to the manufacturer. Okay, same thing occurs in our LabVIEW window also. Okay, so the first we will be trying to establish a front panel, and then we will be connecting all the inbuilt components in our block diagram, and we will try to execute, and finally we will try to create an exe file, .exe file that will be given to a customer. So customer will just click a exe file, the front panel window will be open, then he can able to access all the information. But he will not be able to configure the program. Okay, he will not be able to access a program and he will not be able to modify the program. என்ன சொல்றேன்னு புரியுதா? So front panel வந்து என்னன்னா just ஒரு யூசருக்கு வெளிய ஒரு appearance தான் நடக்குது. ஓகே, உள்ள என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு அவங்களுக்கு தெரியவே தெரியாது. As a programmer வந்து என்ன பண்ணுவோம், நம்ம வந்து உள்ள program build பண்ணுவோம். அந்த front panelsல இருக்க icons வச்சு கனெக்ட் பண்ணி உள்ள வந்து ஒரு program ரன் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கும். ஓகே, சோ அந்த program வந்து யாருக்கு தெரியும்னா வெறும் அந்த manufacturer அல்லது programmer மட்டும் தான் தெரியும். Okay, so that is the block diagram window. So here we have two windows. One is front panel window and another one is block diagram window. Okay, so front panel window displays the contents. Okay, like knobs, buttons, graphs will be there and represent the graphical interface for the VA. Whereas the block diagram window, it holds the programming elements. Whatever the transform, if I am going to do FFT, DFT or whatever might be Z transform, whatever it is going to be, I will be having that blocks and which is going to do an operation with the front panel knobs. that is going to be there in my block diagram palette. Okay, so holds the programming elements called blocks, functions, or sometimes sub-VAs that are wired together to build a graphical program. So for example, this is a front panel window. Okay, this is a front panel window. As a user, you will be knowing there is some knob here. Okay, there is some knob here. We can able to adjust this knob. When we adjust this knob, the sine wave frequency is going to change. We don't know how it is going to be done inside. Okay, as a user, this is enough for him. If I change this knob, something is going to change. Okay, so this is a front panel window. How it is going to look like in our front panel window. So here I have knobs where I can adjust my frequency of my sine wave and square wave. Similarly, this is an indicator which determines what is the actual frequency of the wave. Okay, so these are the graphical windows. So if I see the block diagram part, so first we will describe what are the things available here. So this is a display where our graph is going to get plotted, and this is a front panel toolbar. Okay, where this arrow indicates the execution of a LabVIEW program, VA. Okay, it is going to give a execution of a LabVIEW VA, and this is for continuously running my program. Okay, this is a single time execution of a program, and this is for continuous running. It's like a while loop. When we try to put a while loop, what will happen? Whatever the code lies inside the while loop, it keeps on running. Right? So same thing happens in this case. So this is continuously run. This is single time run. Similarly, I have a stop button, pause button. Okay, I can stop my simulation, I can pause my simulation, and this is for application fonts, what type of fonts I want and how to design. So as a user, he will pick whichever is the most attractive one. So we should design our front panel such a way that it should attract our customer. So by seeing the front panel itself, you should be able to decide, okay, this looks nice, so you need to purchase the software or something like that. Okay. So then there are different things. So here I have used some knob. Okay, it's a Boolean logic on or off button. Then we have some plot legends, waveform graphs as the scale legend to adjust the front panel parameters. Okay. And this is a block diagram window, which is a second panel. Okay, so which is hidden from our user. Okay, so this is applicable only for a programmer. So he can be able to modify such type of things. So here I will put different blocks, try to interconnect those things, and depending upon the interconnection, it is going to work. Okay, so this is the block diagram window. So whenever we are trying to do a program in LabVIEW, it involves two windows. One is front panel window, another one is block diagram window. So front panel window just gives the appearance, how it is going to look like. Okay, and the block diagram window is the window where our program is going to run. Okay. Finally, after completion of our project, what we will try to do is we will try to create a exe file. So that exe file will be given to some other people whenever they. So for example, if you are going to install a C program, so you might be getting c.exe, some file. Whenever you click, what happens? Something is going to run. So you don't know what it is running. So that is up to the programmer. Okay. So finally, we are getting what we are getting is we are getting only the exe file. Whenever we press it, something is running. Okay. So that is what we are going to build the system. So if I see the block diagram window, again I have the same execution toolbar in block diagram also, and here I have different modules. So I need to interconnect. So if I see this enclosure is nothing but a while loop. Okay. Usually in our C program, what we used to do, while of 1, and we used to put some code inside the while loop. So it keeps on running. While condition is true, it's going to keep on running. So here this is a graphical representation. So whatever the block is there, I will include it in the block diagram window, and this is the code which I want it to run continuously. Okay, for that what I will do is I will enclose this entire code with a while loop. Okay, so this program is going to run continuously. So and there are going to be express VAs. So once I build my code, I can create a small VA. So that VA I can use it in some other program. Okay, it is like a subroutine in our C. C level we can use some subroutines, and I can use that subroutine as and when we require. Okay, same thing I can do it with my express VAs. So express VAs are much more interactive environment where I can configure using some type of a dialog box. By adjusting the parameters, I could be able to change it. So standard VAs, modularized VAs, customized by wiring, and functions, fundamental operating elements of the lab view. So no front panel or a block diagram window. So first what we are going to do is we are going to create a project. Okay, so project is a collection of related program elements. So it can have multiple number of VAs. Okay, it can have multiple number of VAs and each VA will be interlinked with each other. And that are intended to work together. So a project can contain multiple VAs plus additional programming elements. So this I will show you when I am trying to operate LabVIEW. Okay, so just remember we are going to have front panel window and a block diagram window. So in a front panel window, what it is going to be there now? It is going to have a controls palette. So controls palette is a toolbox where I will have different types of knobs, different types of indicators. So as a programmer, I can select my own choice and I can place it in the front panel window. Okay, so I will have a huge amount of options in my control palette. So as soon as, because some person will like something and another person will like a different thing. So there we have a lot of varieties of knobs, indicators, everything will be available that we can try to select and we can place it in our front panel window and try to design a much more attractive front panel window. Similarly, there is going to be a functions palette which is associated with my block diagram window. Okay, so for controls palette is associated with front panel, functions palette is associated with block diagram, where I have a different types of transforms, image processing algorithms, so everything is going to be there. So just I have to search for the item, pick and place it, connect it, give the appropriate parameters, then as soon as I run, it is going to give an output. Okay, so it is very, very simple. So this is a controls palette. Okay, so this looks like this. So if I click on this one, it will show different numerical controls. Okay, I can pick whatever I want. Similarly, there can be different number of buttons, knobs, in LEDs, indicators. So different types of things will be available. Similarly, for functions, I can have different types of inputs. I can give a sine wave, square wave, sawtooth wave, whatever I want. Similarly, I can do analysis like FFT, DFT, whatever I want, I can able to do. So there will be a lot of functions available in my functions palette. So as soon as I click my mouse here, it will expand. So that I will have lot of options. So as per our requirement, I can pick the particular option. And there is one more toolbox which is called as tools palette. Okay, so we have three palettes. One is control palette, function palette, and tool palette. So tool palette is for like automatic selection. Okay, so whenever I bring the mouse near to a particular icon, it can change automatically. Okay, so it has some synchronization or some algorithm is written such a way that it will automatically sense what we are trying to do and it will try to change the parameters as and when. Okay, and we have other things like operating tool for positioning. If I want to move a particular thing from one place to another place, I have to drag and place it somewhere. So for that we have different options, scrolling, probe tools. So this and all we will try to familiarize when we are trying to work a LabVIEW environment. So and this is regarding this I have already explained. So this is for single run, this is for continuous run, abort execution, pass and different options. Here the important thing is we have this bulb type of a symbol. Okay, so this is an excellent feature in our LabVIEW environment which is going to give execution highlighting. So if I am going to build a big block diagram, okay, or I am going to do an instrument which is going to be very, very complex. Okay, then I need to know how my voltage is going to flow from one point to another point, or how a current is going to flow from one point to another point, and how the wave is going to change. If I am going to give input sine wave, after a particular block, how it is going to change. So for that, in a MATLAB environment, we will not be able to do that. Here they have given an option, execution highlighting, so which will slow up my execution. Okay, so as my signal travels from one block to another block, I can visualize, I can see what is happening. So after this block, what will be my output? Okay, so such type of things I can able to visualize so that I can easily rectify the errors. Okay, so I can keep on tracking how my input signal is going to change. If a particular block, it doesn't give a proper output now, then there is something problem with that particular block. So I can just rewrite my code such that I will get a perfect output. So that is a very, very important option, execution highlighting. Okay, so then there are numerous examples available in a lab environment. This I will try to show you with respect to biomedical engineering, how to analyze the parameters of ECG, EEG, such type of things is already built in. So you can just pick that examples and you can work on those examples. And this is a sample program. So this is a front panel window where this is a very, very basic program. I am going to add two numbers. Okay, two numbers gets added and it is going to be displayed. Similarly, two numbers get subtracted and it is going to be displayed. Okay, this is a block diagram window. But as a user, you will see only this option. You will not know what is going to happen inside. So you have to just enter what is A, what is B, and then when you start executing, you will get the answer A plus B and A minus B. But as a programmer, we will be knowing the logic. So I can change the addition into a multiplication or division. Whatever I want, I can able to change. But as a user, you will not be able to change. Okay? You will see only this window. And connection and all, it is very, very simple. So this icon represents a connecting variable. So as soon as I get near, and it will change into this type of icon. Then just by dragging, I can able to connect. And one more important thing is, here it is going to have a context help. Okay, context help is nothing but, if I am going to use certain blocks in my block diagram, I don't know the functionality of that block diagram, what it is going to do. Okay, so if I use this context help, the shortcut key is Control H. Control H, open the context help window. So as soon as I bring my mouse near to that particular block, it will show what it is going to do. The corresponding block, what it is going to do, and what will be the output, what are the data types, what should be the input data types, what should be the output data types, and what will be the computation result. So everything it will give a detailed help. So this will be helpful when we are trying to build a very, very complex program. And for connecting, there are certain things. If I do a single click, the particular junction will be selected. If I do double click, then the next adjacent junction will be selected. If I do multiple number of clicks, then the entire thing will be selected. So depending upon that, I can remove a wire or add a wire. Okay, so the context help, this is a shortcut key. Control plus H is a shortcut key. And for online references, there are number of online references available in a NI website. And these are some of the shortcut keys. Control H. Control B is for removing any broken wires. And Control E is for toggling between front panel window and a block diagram window. Similarly, Control Z, undo function. Control 0 is for a fixed size. Then Control plus is for increasing the font size. Control minus is for decreasing the font size. And then we have tool options. So that you can select many more parameters. Okay, so now we will try to do some practical sessions. So I have planned for some 10 experiments. So it's a very, very simple experiment. Because since you are new to this software, I want you to understand regarding the basics. Once you get into the basics, then you can do some advanced programming by yourself. Okay, so first what I am going to do is, I am going to read an image. Okay, so already I have an image. I am going to read that image and I am going to do some task. Okay, some image processing task. So that is my first task, reading an image from a hard disk. So if it's a color image now, I can do color image processing or a grayscale image processing. So that I need to convert color image to grayscale. Then get the pixel values. How the pixel values are going to be there for an image. So that I will try to analyze. Then how to write an image. After processing, I need to save that image in my hard disk. How to do it in a lab environment. And then what you know about thresholding. What is frequency? Thresholding and maximum? Saturation level. Some 128 to 255. So that is the gray levels. What is gray levels?
Zeros and ones.
255 means white. Right? What does it represent? Think in terms of displays. Displays, what is the parameter you are going to change? If I change my gray level, what happens? What will be the parameter which is going to change? Think about TV. TV, there is going to be a gray level change. When it will happen? Brightness. It is not brightness. It is contrast. Okay? So gray level variation is nothing but contrast adjustment. Okay? So if I want to have a low contrast image now, then my gray level should be 0. Okay? If I need to have a high contrast image now, it should be 255. So depending upon the value in between, I will get a particular value of contrast in my image. Okay? So we will be talking in terms of gray levels and how to manipulate these gray levels. So I can pick in an image a certain range of pixel values that I can convert into some other value. Okay, so that is nothing but a threshold. Inverse. What is inverse? Image inversion. Changing the position. No. Have you seen a negative? What is negative? Negative element. For example, if I have my pixel to be pure white, okay, it is going to have a gray level of 255. What is inverse?
0.
It will be 0. Right? So that is going to be a negative. Brighter image is negative, darker. Right? So that is going to be inverse. Now how we are going to do that? What is histogram? Color? Intensity of colors that are present in an image. Okay, so a little bit much more detailed definition for histogram. So in an image, we are going to have gray levels from 0 to 255. Okay, so how many pixels are going to be there with a gray level of 0? And how many pixels are going to be there with a gray level of some 100 or 155? Okay, so that when we try to plot, it is going to give like a graph. Okay, so that is nothing but a histogram. Equalization. What is equalization? Image equalization. So an image can be a high contrast image or a low contrast image. If it's a high contrast image now, how my histogram will look like? It will be more closer to my 255. Okay, so I will get a high peaks near to that 255. If it's a low contrast image now, it is going to be near to my 0 level. So equalization is a thing where I am going to have an equalized pattern, okay, of my histogram. So all the pixels probability is going to be same, approximately same. It will not be exactly same. So I can vary the probability of different pixels with different gray levels in the entire image. Okay, so that is nothing but an equalization process. So then edge detection. What are the algorithms you have studied? Edge detection. Which is the best algorithm? I will name few algorithms. Differentiation, Sobel, Canny Edge. Canny Edge is the best algorithm. Why? Why it is best suited for edge detection? It's an high pass filter where we are going to allow the high frequency gray levels. Okay, so there the threshold value is much more parameter control. We can use different parameters to control the high frequency signals. So I will get a more accurate edges. It will be visible in my canny edge algorithm. So which is not possible with the differentiation or a Sobel algorithm, where my threshold value is going to be low compared to that of my canny edge algorithm. Okay, so then convolution. Why do we need to do convolution? What will happen if we do convolution? Convolution panna whether my image will get sharpened or smoothened. It will get smoothened. Okay? So that is a convolution process. Where what we are going to try to do is we will try to find a nearby pixels, its intensity values, and we will try to take the mean value and try to represent the group as a single pixel. Okay, so it is going to get smoothened. Okay, it is not going to give a clear image, but I will get a little bit of blurred image. Then finally I will try to show you how to capture an image from a webcam. Okay, from a webcam, how to capture an image and how to store it in a PC. So afterwards, whatever we are going to do, that is as per procedure. Okay, what are the algorithms which we can use to process the data. So this is the flow in which I am going to work on. Again I will create, right click, create constant. Okay. So if I see whatever I do in my block diagram, there will be a corresponding icon generated in my front panel. In order to see that, I will go to front panel. Sorry, this is not constant, this is control. So in order to remove this unbroken wires, I will use Control V. Okay, create, control. Okay, so if I go and see in my front panel window, there is going to be a file path where I need to specify the location. From where I am going to read my file. Okay, so I will just copy the location. So this is the location. And I will paste it here. Okay, I will paste it here and I am going to give the file name extension, which is lena.png. It's a PNG file. Data, it's a lena.png file. So I am going to read this file. Okay, so that is associated with this icon. So then I need to display my image. For that, again I will go to my front panel window. Here in controls palette, if I extend this one, there will be an option called vision. In vision, I can able to see this image display, where I can see my image. Okay, so I will just click on this one and place it here. So the corresponding icon will be present in my block diagram. Okay, this image. So this I need to connect it. Okay, from that location I am going to read a file. So this I will connect it to image. Okay, so now my program is done. So now I have to check whether this is working properly or not. Okay, for that what I will do is I will try to put both the things simultaneously. So here I have a location. So here I have this arrow button. Okay, this is for single time execution. And next button is for run continuously. Okay, so I will put single time execution. So it shows the image in my lab environment. So I will So right now it shows like a black and white image. Right now, but actual my image is it's a colored image because we have not given a what type of format I need to read a file. Okay, so that we have not specified in our program. So that we need to specify. Okay. Here I have image type. Okay, in my IMAX create. So that create a constant. It shows grayscale. So that is why by default it is configured as grayscale. So only I am getting a grayscale image. So I need to change it to color. Okay, RGB. Okay, RGB. If I change it to RGB, then I will try to run it. Okay, so now it becomes a color image. So that is how I can convert my color image into a grayscale image also. Okay, so that is my second thing. So first one is reading an image. Second one is how to convert this color image into a grayscale image. So if I just change this one, what does this U32 represent? It is given RGB in bracket U32. So or I will select RGB U8. What does it represent? Size of a pixel. Right? Here it is going to be an 8-bit pixel value. And if it is a color image, it is going to be 32-bit pixel value. So I need to see the pixel values. For the image, what should be my pixel values? So for that, what I am going to do is, again I go to my block diagram window. So in block diagram window, I will go to this vision and motion. So in vision and motion, I have this image manipulation. Okay, in image manipulation, I have an option okay, so it is not in image manipulation. Vision and motion, vision utilities, in pixel manipulation. Okay, in pixel manipulation, I have this IMAX get pixel value. Okay, there I can get my each and every individual pixels. What will be the value of the pixels? Okay, so here I have the image, x coordinate, y coordinate. If I specify 0, 0, which means that it is a topmost pixel. Okay, so that value will be displayed. So I need to give an x coordinate value, create constant. Similarly, create a y coordinate. Okay, so two values. So whatever the pixel value index I am going to give, so the corresponding pixel value will be displayed. So these are the three main things: image, x coordinate, and y coordinate. So remaining things are, if I want, I can give or I can leave as it is. Okay. So here, I used to get this pixel value U8, which is going to be 8-bit pixel value. So that I will try to create an indicator. Okay, for controlling, for giving inputs, it is control. Okay, to showing the result, it is going to be indicator. Okay, so that create an indicator. Okay, so it is going to create this one. If I go and check in my front panel window, there is going to be another icon here, pixel value. Right now, right now. So if I try to execute, it shows 162. Okay, so that is the 0, 0 because I have not specified any coordinates. It is just 0 and 0 in my block diagram. Right now, x coordinate is 0, y coordinate is 0. So I will just change this value. So to 100. 100. I will put this one also 100. Okay. So 100 and 100. 100th row, 100th column. What is the value of the pixel? That I will try to see it in my front panel window. When I execute it, so that pixel is going to have a value of 108. Okay. So maximum value, pure white is going to be 255. Pure dark is going to be depending upon the image which we are trying to process, the pixel values is going to change. Okay? So this is how we will be able to check the pixel value and do some manipulation on those pixel values. And there is another option. Instead of seeing pixel by pixel, I can see the entire pixel of the entire image. So for that, so here I have an option. In my pixel manipulation, I map image to an array. Okay, I can convert the entire image into an array. So that each and every pixel will be shown as an array of elements. So this I can use. Okay, so I will place it here. So again I have to connect the image. Okay. So if I see, this is the important thing. Image alone, it is important that we have connected. Remaining other things, it's optional. Okay, I can select a particular rectangle alone and I can able to see what is the pixel value in that particular region alone. So that is also is possible by using an optional rectangle. Okay, right now I will just leave it and I will try to show you an array. So create an indicator. So indicator, it will create an array. You know, automatically it will select an array. So if I go and see in my front panel, here there is an array. So right now only one element is shown. 0, 0. So I have to expand this array. Okay, so I am going to expand this array. So it is just very simple. Just drag and place it. Okay, so it will show the entire thing. So if I run, it is going to show different values of my pixel. How it is going to vary. So if I was this image, it has a. If I see this image, it is going to be 512 cross 512. Okay, 512 cross 512. So it is going to have 512 rows, 512 columns of 8 bit. Each pixel is going to be of 8 bit. Okay, so that is the image size. So if I want to check 100, 100. Okay, so just put 100, 100. So it will show corresponding whatever the number of pixels we have expanded. So that is the pixel it is going to show. Right now. So 100, 100. So which is your 100, 100 pixel? 108. So this first one. Okay, so this is 100, 100. This is 100, 101, 102. It goes on like this. So I can able to see the pixel value here also. Okay, 100, 100, it's going to be 108. So this is how we can read the pixel values from an image. So next what we have to do? So reading an image we have seen, how to convert a color image to grayscale we have seen, get the pixel values. Okay. So now what I will try to do is, first I will complete this thresholding, then after that I will try to save the thresholded image in my hard disk. Okay. After processing, how to save it. We will try to see, first we will try to see fifth one and then we will go to fourth one. So in thresholding, so again, so I will try to remove this part. Okay, so this is common. We have to create a space for my image and I am going to read that image. So this image I am going to do some thresholding. thresholding. I am going to change the value of certain pixels. Okay. So for that, I will go to this same vision and motion. In image processing, in processing window, I will have a IMAX threshold. Okay, this option is there. Okay, it is an image processing. Okay, IMAX threshold, I will place it here. Okay, so I have to connect the image. Okay. So other than that, if you put contextual, what are the other things? So it should have a range. Okay, so range I should specify. What are the pixel values I am going to change? So that is important. Okay, so for that I will go to this range, create a constant. Okay, so it shows by default I can change whatever the pixels available between 128 and 255. I can change it to some other value. I can replace this value. Okay, so I will change a certain range. Okay, I will keep some 200. Okay, so 200 to 255, whatever the pixels value is going to be there, I am going to change it to 255. Okay, so this is a threshold range. I need to replace it with a certain value. So that is given by this replace value. So in replace value, I right click, create constant. So here I will put 255. This is what. So in the image, there will be certain pixels with 200 to 255. Some pixels will be there. So I am going to convert all those pixels which are going to have 200 to 255 to 255. Okay, it is going to be a bright spot. Like that I am going to convert. Okay. So other than that, so again, what I need to do is I need to see the image, how it is going to look like. So I will go to the front panel. So here I will try to put the vision image display. So this I will place it here. So I am going to get the image after thresholding. Okay, so I am going to get the image after thresholding. So this is the thresholding part. So now I will go and check my output. Okay, so here you can see. So in that image, most of the pixels are from 200 to 255. So it becomes, so I will reduce this range to some 150. You will see what happens. Okay, so it becomes like this. So whatever the pixels is going to be there, with 150 to 255, it is changed to complete white. Okay, so these are the pixels which is going to be of complete white, 255. So next is, we will try to save this image in the hard disk. So for that, again, I will go to this vision and motion. So in vision and motion, vision utilities, in files, I have a image write file option. As we are doing for read, there is an option for write. So that I will try to place it here. Okay. So which is the image I need to write? So this is the image. So I will connect it here. Okay. So if I want, I can connect my error out. So other than that, what are the things I need to connect? File path I need to use. Okay, in which location I need to save my new image. Okay, so that I will try to create. So in file path, create a control. Okay, so subsequent thing will be opened here. file path. So I will just give the same address location with different name. Okay, same address location. I will put Nena underscore threshold. Threshold.png. So this is the file name which I am going to create. Okay, so right now it is not available. Okay, so right now it is not available. So I will put and in block diagram I have to select the corresponding PNG format. Okay, so if I want I can see the image also. So that is not needed right now. So I will try to run it. Okay, so now it is executed. So if I go and see that one, it has created this one. So this is the image I have saved. Okay, so this is how writing an image. So next what we try to do is, we try to do an inverse operation. So try to find the negative of the image. So here again, I will try to delete this part. Again, in my vision and motion, in image processing, in processing I have this IMAC inverse, okay, inverse option. So that I will put it here. The image source, I will connect it here.